So we've had a problem with our Shark vacuum, the lift away. The belt had stopped going round, so I've took the top off by removing the screws underneath to have a look, thinking that it would be the belt that snapped or the motor's broke. And what I've done, or what I've come across, is a switch. Now this is the switch when you lift it off, it lifts off and it makes that clicking switch, which when it's down it stops the belt, when it's up it lets the belt. So when you lift that part of the Shark up, it stops the belt from spinning the brush, because you use the pipe at the other end and you don't want the brush spinning while it's in one place. And then when you lift it down so you can use the head to hoover the floor, that will lift up then, and that disconnects the electrical connection. Now I noticed that mine was not clicking, it was just floppy, so I think maybe the spring had got jammed, and then I've took that out, ready to take that out to see if I can disconnect it to get a new one, but it just clicked back into place, and therefore now it is making the right noise and it's clicking. Just switched it on and that works. So I'm about to put everything back together. It was a pain in the bum to get out. All these Phillips, every one of them except this one, that is a kind of square head. But what I did was, because I haven't got the screwdriver, what I did is I used a flathead, a little flathead like that, and that fit in across the square, and that enabled me to remove it. But why that one is a different head than all the others, and you do need that one out to get it out, is beyond me. It's maybe just, I don't know, because they let you get all the way with them, the Phillips, and take what, 15 screws out, and then you have to get a different tool to take the last screw out. So I don't get that at all. But anyway, it's now working, and the brush is now spinning, and so I shall put it back together. At least I know, if it does go, that this little green thing here is the problem, and not the motor. Obviously the motor's a lot bigger, probably more expensive. Well, it will be more expensive to put back together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything back together, and hopefully, if I can remember where everything goes. Also that was in there, so that's the guard, and that goes over there, so we shall put that back first. So the guard just fits over there like that. Put that in place, get the right screwdriver, put the screws in, and the screw in that one. What I would say is, don't be frightened of trying to do things yourself. Obviously if it becomes electrical, like the motor, or I would have had to take stuff out, then it becomes a lot harder to act, because I don't have the right tools. But I've done this literally with a couple of screwdrivers, and that bugger won't go in now, so let's try this one. I'm going to put the camera down for a sec. So that's that in there. And then let's put that one in there. These are magnetic screwdrivers, that's why they're pulling the screws back out, not giving me time to get them in. Now I've done that, let me have a look. So now you've got to be careful of all the wires, and obviously got circuit boards. If you can help it, try not to touch the circuit boards if you can help it, because sometimes you can short out the screws. Sorry, not the screws, the circuits. So they've got screws on the brain. So, oh, before I do that, there was a screw that went in there with a bolt. So I need to, that will focus. See, there's a hole there. So a bolt goes on the back there and the screw goes in the front. So let's get that. Try and separate your screws so they go together. So that screw is for the little green bit, and that screw is to actually screw down the white button. So we'll put that to one side, put that on there. Right, hit that. So if you see now, that screw goes in there, like that. Get that going through a bit. Ah, no, I thought it'd gone again then. Screw that in there like that. Sorry about the camera work, but I'm trying to do it from one hand. Push that in there. So that goes in there. And then this is a lift away model, by the way. That's one screwdriver. Right, screw that in. Keep your finger on the back, stop the nut coming out. And don't screw it too tight, just want it to stay in place. Don't want to crush any of the insides. That should be fine. And that's the hole for the screw. So just bring this up. That then goes back in there. Make sure you don't trap any wires. Just sits in there. Now the trick is getting that screw in between them wires. So what I might do is try it with this. Don't think it's going to work. It's too much of a. Oh, there you go. Put that on there like that. Just move them out the way. In fact, I'm going to put that in there now. So if I just feed that through now. Bit of a pain in the bum, but yeah, that's through. I'm going to put the screwdriver on. Just trying to pull it out again. Fit that in there, and it's come out. Let's try again. Move them out of the way. Put that in there. Right, hopefully. Right, got it. Right. It's back in. Down there. You should hear that click. Mine wasn't clicking like that. It was literally just loose. Right, so I think everything's there now. Hopefully everything is ready to go. Slide these little pieces back in. These side protection things. What you can do is when you get a bit of leverage, you can take that side protection plate out, and that gives you an eye on the belt. I presume that is to change the belt without taking the whole lot off. But it was a bit awkward, so took everything off. No, I can't find the other side plate. Yeah, it's still in there. Right, now, one thing to remember, this actual connection goes in there, and that's for the front lights, for when you're hoovering. So we need to connect that before we do anything else. It's a bit awkward, but should be able to do it. Make sure it goes in the right way. Right, that's in. When you're putting the lid on, make sure you don't trap anything. Make sure it feeds back into there, and that one feeds into there. And then turn on its side. Let's have a look. There you go, back together. Right, just get a couple of screws in now. Just to keep it back together. Oh, that's the... that was the funny screw, so if you look at this... come back out. That had a funny head on it. It's like a square head. Obviously the camera won't focus. There you go. That was the one in the middle, so you know that. And then the rest are Phillips. There are little wheels that go in, so I just took them out, put them in there, and that's come out. So there's a little kind of washer that goes over it, which is hard to do one hand. And then just clip them in. Like that. That's not in. What I'll do is I'll push that in with a screwdriver when I have two hands. Let's do it now. There you go, it's in. Like I said, there's another one goes in the other side, but don't be afraid of trying. Obviously don't do what I do, I left it plugged in and then it switched on. We could have sent this off to be done, but we've got two dogs and the house needs hoovering every day, so it's a bit of a pain for us to send it off. So I just decided to have a look myself. What you can do is take pictures with your phone if you think you're going to forget where things go. That's what I do, I take it with my phone if I need to, and then I know where everything goes then. Pretty straightforward really. Put that long one back in the wheel. Yeah. Now that one I was telling you about, that awkward one, it goes in there. So if you can see there, that's one goes in there. So instead of having a specialised tool, I got a small flathead like I said. And then I just put the flathead in there and that turns it. So the trick is just to get the bugger out in now. Always handy these magnetic screwdrivers, because once you got a screw in, they pull it back out. And I've not got steady hands, so there you go. Right. Shut that. Neat moment of truth. See if it works. So that is in the upright. That should essentially turn the brush off. That's the connection switch that was loose, that was clicking. And then that spins the brush. Turn it on. Turns it off. So there you go guys, that's job done for today. It took a bit of time, but just be patient. Make sure you separate your screws. Like I said, take photos if you need to. You're not always going to be able to fix it. Sometimes you might have to send off for a part, but it just shows that it is worth having a go, because it might be something or nothing. It could be a belt. I mean, at first I thought it was the belt, and that's why I was having a go in order to change the belt. Which I would have had to order, but when I got there and the belt wasn't working, ultimately I thought it was the motor, which I thought, hey, that's going to be pretty expensive. But then when I looked on the other side and I seen that loose click, that switch, it was just flapping about. Thought that can't be right, so my initial intention was to take that out, change it. When I took that screw out, it then flicked and then became clicking again. So I must have unintentionally clipped a spring that was out or something, and then that allowed that to work in again. So it just shows you it's worth having a try. That's probably saved me, I don't know, a couple of, maybe 50 quid or something, £50 or less, or I don't know, but I wasn't just going to pay out and go in blindly and just pay out for someone else to do it when you could just do it yourself on a Saturday afternoon. Just be aware, I've done it on the floor and it's a bit harder. Maybe if you can get it on a table or something with a bit more light, then it might have been easier. But it's done, and that's all that matters. There's no screws left, which is always a good thing. So there's nothing worse than putting everything together and finding a screw. So yeah, any comments, any questions? But bearing in mind, I'm not qualified, so, I'm not saying I'm a qualified engineer, just at home, had a go, try to save myself some quid. But if I can help you out, a few quid, sorry, if I can help you out, just comment and I'll answer your questions. Alright, cheers, thanks.